22 draft class for Zenny 62 Media. Bill Carroll here. And we're going to talk about Tom Telesco, the Chargers, their cap situation, their draft and undrafted free agents. Now, Tom Telesco is a proud graduate of John Carroll, and I jokingly, or not even really jokingly, I guess, call them FO and CU. People like DBU and WRU and TEU, RBU. Well, how about all the front office and coaching personnel that come from John Carroll? And just the ones that I'm aware of, Don Shula, of course, was a John Carroll graduate. Chris Polian, Greg Roman was another Blue Streak. Of course, Telesco, David Caldwell. And then, of course, they had a pretty good player in London Fletcher, all come from John Carroll. So D3 football counts. Watch it, people. Now, he was a pretty good wide receiver there. Started for them in the beautiful OAC, and they even won a championship there in 1994. Graduates with a degree in business management. He was a summer intern during his time in college with the Buffalo Bills. When he graduates, he starts scouting for them, or a scouting assistant, with the Panthers. Did that for a couple of years, then joined the Colts as an area scout. Did that also for 2 years, and then became a pro scout for another 3. Then in 2004, he became their director of pro scouting. We're talking about 10 years out of college, so he's still 31, 32 years old. Then in 2005, he was director of player personnel. And his run with the Colts was, obviously, we mentioned he went to school with Chris Polian, so now he's obviously working for Bill Polian with the Colts. In the time he was there, they had a total of 12 postseason experiences, including 2 Super Bowl appearances, one win and 1 loss. And the Colts had 154 wins, second only to New England in that time period that he was there. Then in 2013, Dean Spanos hires Tom Telesco to take over from A.J. Smith. And the team had not made the playoffs until 2009. Telesco at that time was barely 40 years old and was the youngest general manager in the history of the Chargers and one of the youngest in the NFL. He announced, as frankly most general managers do, that they're going to build the team through the draft, and he meant it. This team is largely a team that's built through the draft. Currently, and that's part of why their cap situation is pretty decent. Total cap liabilities of $250 million, $240,798, and about 195,617,900. 195,617,903 is tied up essentially in their 53-ish man roster, and then that they already had going into the draft. The rest is devoted to draft picks, and so that's about $16,548,819. And they're a little more defense and offense, about 53 point something percent of their cap is devoted to defense, and about 47.5 or so percent is no, it doesn't work, Bill. 46.5 or so is devoted to their offense, and with what's left over going to special teams. There's actually like 44.5, I guess. Dead money, not a lot. Brian Balaga, $333,334,000, and just $170,156 tied up in Joe Reed. So that's $3.661 million in dead cap, essentially. That's one of the lowest in the NFL. Bosa at $28,250,000, and of course Keenan Allen at $19.2 million are the only even slightly unwieldy cap numbers they're dealing with. Mike Williams checks in at $14 million. Corey Lindsey is $11.6 million. Everybody else is under $10 million. Everyone else on the whole team is under $10 million. So well done, quite frankly, Tom Telesco. Let's talk a little bit about their class, both in terms of draftees and undrafted free agents. So they got Zion Johnson, who I think is probably one of the closest to bust-proof picks in the whole draft at pick 17. Then they went sort of in a different direction for J.T. Woods. Super athletic safety, not super productive, not great at everything, but he can run like a scalded dog and can help you on special teams. If it turns out he's not a great defensive player, then you've bolstered special teams, but pick 79 would be a little early to do that. Then they got a real bargain, I think, in Isaiah Spiller. He was my RB1 for half of the season. Slipped down a little bit and then slipped down a lot more. Fell a little bit out of my top 5. He's still my top 3 for a long time, but that pro day, everyone says trust the tape, watch the tape. I do trust the tape. I do watch the tape, and that's why I still think it was good to pick him up here at pick 123. But he's probably not going to run away from people at the NFL level, and that's fine. Not every great running back does. But he's going to be part of a rotation, and that's fine. Otito Ogbonnia from defensive tackle from UCLA is one of those guys that sort of can play a few different positions and is a really good track and field athlete. I really like when guys are like discus or shot put guys. Then comes Jamari Sawyer from Georgia. He can play tackle. He can play guard. They position versatility is great. Then comes Jasir Taylor, cornerback from Wake Forest. I don't know if he starts, but I think he has a chance to be part of their, dime package. Dean Leonard, another corner from Ole Miss, a slightly different kind of corner from Taylor. Taylor is a little more twitchy, a little different kind of athletes, right? And I think they liked Leonard having played at a high level of competition and played some pretty good wide receivers. Here's one of my favorite picks of theirs is their last is Xander Horvath. In the old days of teams playing the old super back, right, where you have the one back who's a little bit of a fullback, a little bit of a running back, and catch the ball out of the backfield. Brian Leonard, wherefore art thou, right? Where's Brian Leonard right now? Xander Horvath is a lot in that mold. He runs well enough that, frankly, he's faster than Isaiah Spiller, though he's listed as a fullback. I think he might end up exceeding people's expectations. Now, some people see him as sort of a hybrid H-back, maybe play a little tight end. I hope they give him the ball and don't just have him throw on a neck roll and slam into people. That would be a waste. I like their UDFA class, and they have a lot of connections to my home state of Virginia. Kevin Marks went to Buffalo, but he's from the 757, so Tidewater stand up. 5'11 and an eighth, 200 pounds, 4'6", 40. He's a better athlete than that sort of shows you. He has a good initial burst, 35.5-inch vert, 9.10 broad, 4.37 short shuttle, and the three cone sort of surprised me at 7.42. So it means maybe he's not super bendy, but he plays a tad faster than that. Unfortunately, he thinks a little bit too much like Reggie Bush and not enough like Reuben Drones. I still think he makes a 53-man roster, if not this, then someone else's, but he needs to probably change his running back mentality. And then they bring in another similar running back in Letty Brown. Now, the difference is that unlike the 2-star in Kevin Marks, this is a 4-star in Letty Brown, was an all-team, Big 12 player, has had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons, just a 12th running back at West Virginia to do so. And he's a guy that, once again, didn't run fast. 4.64 in the 40. That's just not great. There's 41 running backs who are faster than that in this draft class. Then we have a very interesting guy in ULM's D-end / offensive linebacker, Ty Shelby. Now, what you like about him is he has a decent frame, 6'3 and 7/8, 249 pounds. Means he can play 3-4 outside linebacker. And in certain packages, put his hand on the ground. 4.79 in the 40, 26 bench reps, which means that he's got some upper body strength. And decent twitch, though he's not a freak athlete, 34-inch vert, 9.9 broad, 4.6. In the short shuttle, 7.22 fleet cone. He had 13 solo tackles, 23 assists. He led all linemen, right, in tackles, and led the team in sacks and tackles. The third in tackles for loss was 5.5 sacks. At wide receiver, they picked up some interesting players. Trevon Bradford is, once again, I'm assuming he's seen as sort of a special teams guy. He has to try to beat out Joe Reed probably, unless they keep 6 receivers. And if they do keep 6 receivers, then, well, even then it comes out, I guess, he and Joe Reed, because they're going to keep Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, Jalen Dighton, DeAndre Carter. Those are their top 5. And so it comes down to either Trevon Bradford or Joe Reed. 5'9 and 5'8", 183 pounds, 42 catches, 631 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He plays a little faster he plays about 4.46, but he ran 4.52. But it's because of how he knows how to gear up and down to sort of give a certain amount of deception to the guys covering him, so he feels faster. But he's not very big. The surprising thing at his size is his strength. 19 bench reps. I should point out that he would be in the top few tight ends in this class with 19 reps. 33.5-inch vert, 9.5 broad, 4.34 short shuttle, 7.03 cone. Not super productive, so it's a little bit concerning. And then we have sort of an interesting, in Stone Stout. First of all, awesome name. Old Dominion, once again, shout out to the 757, though he's from Sacramento, California. Went to Riverside City College, was a quarterback at the time, even as a quarterback when he gets to ODU. And then during the 2020 year, Stone Smart, which is once again awesome name, moves to wide receiver, and then now they see him as a tight end. 17 receptions, 167 yards, 6'4", 226, 4'6", 240, 4'9", short shuttle, 40-inch vert, 12 reps. Once again, it's 7 fewer reps than a 183-pound receiver we talked about. But once again, he's not really a real tight end yet. 10.8 broad, though. I mean, that tells you we're talking about an athlete. Now, the issue is they do have a bit of an opening. Steven Anderson's gone. But Trey McKitty can do a little bit of everything. And they've also got Hunter Kampmoyer, and we talked about Xander Horvath. So they may ask one of those guys to be sort of a combo hybrid type. And then they also went after Eric Kromenhoek from USC, who is the opposite end. Not very athletic, not very explosive, 4.86 in the 40, 23 bench reps. So he did beat the receiver. 26.5-inch vert, which is, I mean, not great. 9.8 broad, which is a little better. And then 4.34 in the short shuttle. The surprising number is a 7 flat 3 cone. Didn't see that coming. He's 245 pounds, 6'5 and a quarter. And then a couple of guys who I think are probably special teams guys. Brandon Sebastian, corner from Boston College. And, of course, obviously a special teamers. Place kicker James McCourt, 5'11 and a quarter. No, 3/4, 216 pounds. 14 out of 15 on field goals inside the 50. He had 4 50-yarders and was perfect on extra points. He was third in the nation on 50-plus yard field goals and ninth in the nation on kickoff touchback percentage at 82.4. Dustin Hopkins is the man, but he's going to try to push to get the job. Either he gets the job or Hopkins loses the job. We'll see what happens. But if not, he's going to be a backup. And then they also brought in some more offensive line help. And I think this guy has a shot, 50-50 shot to make the team. Isaac Weaver was a 3-star recruit from Lassiter High in Marietta, Georgia. He had offers from both Georgia State and Florida International. Ends up at ODU, 757 stand up. And in 2021, he started all 12 games, but at a few different positions. 10 games at center, which is probably a position where he's most, ready to go. But he's played 1 game at left tackle and 1 game at left guard. So that is what gives him value, his versatility. He was an honorable mention all-conference player, 6'6 and a half, 310, 5'4", 40. And while you don't worry too much about that, not a freak athlete. But he knocked out 24 bench reps, 30.5-inch vert, which is pretty good for a 310-pounder, 9.1 broad, also a solid number, 4.72 short shuttle, which, and the 8-second broad is, 8-second 3 cone is, he's not a freak athlete, like I said. Last two guys are D-backs who are probably going to be seen as special teamers. Raheem Lane, kind of a tough guy, but a special teamer mostly, right? Special teams standout. He did have 147 career tackles, 1 interception, 7 pass deflections, and 2 forced fumbles in his career. 4.58 40, 14 bench reps, 34.5-inch vert, 10-second broad, 4.45 short shuttle, and a 7.34 3 cone. And his ticket obviously is going to be special teams, and he'll be competing to some extent to survive with Skylar Thomas, who's a different kind of safety / nickel. Smaller guy, once again, 5'8 and 7/8, 184 pounds, 4.5 240, 34-inch vert, 4.48 short shuttle, 7.38 3 cone. He didn't play at all in 2020, and then he began his career at Washington State, but finished up at Liberty. In his career, 152 tackles, 6 interceptions in those seasons. And what gives him value is, once again, the fact that he can play outside corner in a pinch, but he's seen as a nickel / free safety. And maybe he can get on the field in some of those multiple safety formations where you'll see a team, and obviously have Derwin James and have Nazir Adderley, be able to throw him out there. If he shows he can play with those two, he has a chance to stick. Moving on to the next team next.